Darwin proposed that all species evolve successively from a common ancestor. But how did that first living thing come into being? Darwin did not address this question at all in his book. He was not even aware that this point was one of the biggest refutations of his theory. The primitive understanding of science in his day assumed that life had a very simple structure. According to a theory called spontaneous generation, which was popular since the medieval age, it was believed that living things could easily arise from non-living matter. It was commonly thought that frogs spontaneously arose from mud and bugs from food leftovers.
You see, Darwin's ideas about the development of life led to his theory that modern science now generally defines as an undirected process, completely devoid of any purpose or plan.
Anytime anyone criticizes Darwin's theory of evolution, evolutionists immediately cry, it's about religion.
Well, the claim that all skeptics about Darwinian orthodoxy or Christian fundamentalists stands refuted by me. It's obviously not true. I'm neither Christian nor a fundamentalist.
In Darwin's book on the origin of species, there's only one illustration. It's called the Tree of Life. Darwin used it to explain how every species of animal and plant that ever existed on Earth had evolved from the same common ancestor through small, gradual steps over enormous periods of time. Even though Darwin's Tree of Life is included in virtually every biology textbook published over the last half-century, contrary to what we've been told, there is no conclusive evidence of the common origin of all life.
Perhaps the most damaging blow to Darwin's theory is the fossil record.
The branching tree pattern of Darwin's theory is actually not seen anywhere in the fossil record unless we impose it with our own minds. So the Cambrian explosion is the most dramatic refutation of the Tree of Life.
Charles Darwin offered a way to test his own theory. In Origin of Species, he wrote, "If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed, which could not possibly have been formed by numerous, successive, slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down."
And what Michael Behe and others have discovered is the existence of biological machinery that cannot be explained away by Darwinian processes. Darwin's failed predictions have in fact falsified his own theory.
The challenges to Darwinian theory have led more than 600 scientists with PhDs from major universities throughout the world to sign a document titled A Scientific Dissent from Darwinism. It reads in part, "We are skeptical of the claims for the ability of random mutation and natural selection to account for the complexity of life."
These are scientists with PhDs from Stanford and Berkeley and University of Chicago and Cambridge, major universities, who've looked hard and fast at the evidence and have walked away saying, "I am not convinced."
In the same way that the Prophet said in a hadith sahih, عند كل جرس شيطان, every time you hear a bell, there is a shaitan. This is an indication that Muslims should not go to public schools because they use bells to call the children. You see, this is what they're indoctrinating the children into this system. But Muslims forget these hadiths, and if they know them, they just, oh, you know, oh, what a coincidence. No, this is something serious here.
One of them is called Piltdown Man. About 100 years ago in UK, they discovered the evidence that once and for all proved beyond a shadow of a doubt human beings in fact did evolve from apes. And how they showed it, here's the skull, take a look. After the two guys that came up with this had both died, it was discovered, and then they looked at it a little bit more, examined with some more progressive science maybe. The jawbone was from some monkey, and the cranium was from something else, and they mixed the two together. Next, right after that, they come up with in America, Nebraska Man. Did you hear about Nebraska Man? These are two of the most famous, but the list goes on, trying again and again and again to prove something that just can't be proven, because guess what? It ain't true. Simple as that.
Arranging the skulls of these extinct ape species from the smallest to the biggest, and adding some skulls of vanished human races to the series, evolutionists concocted the scenario of human evolution.
The project is literally the secularization of the world, to completely strip the world from religious beliefs. This is the project, and that is why it is called Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new secular or worldly order.
It was very interesting, because after the Great General Council, it was decided that Satan would tutor Charles Darwin personally in setting up the principles of his theories of evolution. He was tutored by Lucifer himself, fallen Lucifer. Now, he made a unique statement. He said that according to the spirits, anyone that teaches a theory of evolution is considered to be a minister of a great religious system. See, they call it the religious system, the theory of evolution. And he said that every teacher of that theory is recognized by the spirits as a person of great value and receives a very special unction from Satan himself, giving great power to induce spiritual blindness, to convince and convert.
Morals and Dogma, the classic of Freemasonry.
Page 565 in this book. You can look it up. It says that Satan is God.
One of Charles Darwin's on the right when he was a younger man. One of his ancestors, his grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, who was an evolutionist in the 18th century, 50 years before Charles.